Okay, so this is part two the plasma cell metabolism, 1975 versus 2026. So just a reminder, this is part two of creating the puzzle video where we go behind the prep that's involved with putting our puzzles together on kidneycontenders.com. And then, of course, some of the posts that we put on our different social media sites. And so what you're looking at right now is my account for anatomy.app. And this particular screen is showing the spleen. And so I'm sure many of you who are medical students or just, science enthusiasts or human anatomy enthusiasts, you understand that, of course, the spleen is one of the major lymphoid organs where B cells activate and begin their transformation into plasma cells. So what I would like to do now is I would like to actually rotate just to show you the 3D anatomy that anatomy.app has. So see how we have just rotated the entire skeletal frame, and now you're looking at the vertebrae columns. Now we're going to rotate back because, of course, we're focusing on the spleen. Something else you may not be aware of if you do not have an anatomy.app account or have never been to the site at all is that you can actually listen to the overview of the different anatomical features that are on anatomy.app site. So for the spleen, if we click on the little headset, listen to the audio. Let's see. Let's click play. Okay. All right.
Anatomy of spleen overview. The spleen is a spongy, soft, and very densely vascularized secondary lymphoid organ.
That's pretty cool. So
it appears reddish-purple because of its good vascularization. It is the largest organ of the lymphatic system.
Go back to what I was saying about
the spleen has an essential role in immune surveillance and blood filtration. Various foreign bodies and senescent and damaged red blood cells are filtered in the spleen.
In
addition, lymphocytes mature and proliferate in this organ. Although the spleen varies in shape and size depending on the gender, weight, and height of a person, it usually appears somewhat oval-shaped and fist-sized. On average, it is 3.94 5.51 inches,
now today in 2026, we understand that
long,
plasma cells
and its width varies from 2.76 to 3.54 inches, 7-9 centimeters. The thickness of the spleen is typically 1.18 1.97 inches,
they can remodel their mitochondria for those
Usually, the spleen weighs around 4.9 7.1 ounces, 140 200 grams.
Signaling,
there is a rule that can help recall these parameters of the spleen. It is the 1x3 by 5 by 7 by 9 by 11 rule. It describes the spleen as being 1 inch thick, 3 inches wide, and 5 inches long. The number 7 corresponds to its weight, 7 Oz, while 9 by 11 means it lies between the ribs 9 to 11. The spleen is classified as an intraperitoneal organ. The peritoneum surrounds it from all sides except at the hilum of the spleen. Underneath the peritoneum, it is encased by a weak outer connective tissue capsule of the spleen. It has a protective function, and it helps the organ to remain in place. At the same time,
what we're going to do is we are going to start building out our puzzle. Now, in part one, I showed you how we can incorporate the MP4 video that we created from GitHub into the actual CodePen puzzle. But what I want to do is I want to show you how we start processing out, how Kidney Contenders starts processing out what actual context do we want to add to our puzzle. So we're in CodePen right now. Go to New Pen. Okay. Now for this one, you'll notice that the previous lines that we did where we incorporated the GitHub we've removed that because I want to show everyone how we process the actual context from scratch. And so what we're going to focus on for today is simply plasma cell metabolism and its immune system that's specific to the spleen. And what we want to do is we want to take out those words. So in 1975, the overview was metabolically active, and 2026, we understand it's remodeled their mitochondria. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide just a very quick text of what it starts to look like. So we have our let's go ahead and start. So we're going to have our angle brackets, which we always use when it comes to any type of element, instead of parentheses. So we have the first paragraph. So let's use that. That's going to be angle bracket paragraph. Let's start with 1975. Let's see, 1975. And let's put metabolically active. I think metabolically active, and then let's just close it out there. Yeah, no, metabolic. See, this is why I probably need my dictionary. Okay, metabolically active, and because I think it is a direct quote if I remember correctly. Okay, and then let's just close out the angle bracket right there. Where's the backspace? Okay, so that's the first one, metabolically active. Okay, so the second one, we're going to put in the angle bracket, and that's going to be 2026. And it's going to be did I say remodel or remodeling? Remodeling mitochondria. Okay. And we're going to close out the bracket again. Okay. All right. So, okay. So we've got 1975, metabolically active, 2026, remodeling mitochondria. Now, right now, what we just did was we simply put the text inside of it. Now we have to decide is, okay, do we want to differentiate 1975 from 2026 with different colors? Do we want them to be electric? How do we want to do it? So that's what we're up to next. We have an idea. So this is normally how Kidney Contenders starts processing things. We have a subject matter. Sometimes it's related to the kidneys. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just about overall health and wellness. We want to build it up. So we know in the back of our minds, we've got a video. And it's a pretty cool video, and it's going to look great as a background. But now the context itself, what are we trying to educate the masses that are actually going to take the time to watch this? So they understand that we just created a paragraph angle bracket. That's great. They understand that we're starting with 1975 metabolically active, and they understand that our second paragraph is going to be 2026 remodeling mitochondria. All right, so we're going to have to go with style. Now, when it comes to style, we don't use any specific colors routinely. That's just because personally, I like experimenting with different colors. Two of our volunteers enjoy experimenting with different colors. Only one of our volunteers is very set on like this purplish hue. But we just want to go with whatever colors we think might be eye-catching. So we're going to go with electric yellow for 1975, and let's go with electric blue for 2026. Okay. So let's start off with what we put after our paragraph. So we're going to put style. And if I can, one of the things we want to do with the style is we want to make sure that it's electrifying. So, of course, after we write style, make sure the equal sign is correct. After style, we're going to put color. And then from there, let's put I think it's FFEA00. Ooh, I think it's FFEA00. Oh, I'm trying to remember. I'm honestly trying to remember. I think that's it. I think that's the color for electric yellow, but I could be wrong with that. That I could be wrong with. Let me see. Let me see if that's it. I think it is. Okay. I think that's the color for electric yellow. Let's see. I know it's style, it's color. EA00. Okay. I see what I'm doing wrong. I closed out the bracket, and that's why it hasn't turned to electric yellow. Hold on one second. That should do it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So this is why we're showing you the uncut version, because this is what myself and our volunteers go through when we're putting these puzzles together. Again, we're not expert coders. None of us are. But when you do this enough times, you start to realize, okay, now what was the problem? So just to show it again, I just want to show you again. If you recall, if you look at number 2, right? Let's just take a look at number 2. Look at line number 2. Do you see how you have the paragraph, the letter P, with the angle brackets around it? You had an open and a close. So you closed in that paragraph line, right? And so it locked in the remodeling mitochondria. But in the case of adding color, which is style, color, the type of color, you actually have to open up that N bracket of the first P, space it out, and now it's electric yellow. So let's do the same thing for line 2. And this time what we're going to do is we're going to open up that P first, and we're just going to copy what we did for line 1. So get rid of dash, put in colon marks. And what we're going to do right here is we're just going to copy the style and the electric yellow, but we're going to switch out the electric yellow. Okay, make sure that looks the same. We're going to switch out the electric yellow for electric blue instead. Okay, and so I believe that, so electric yellow is FFEA00, and I believe for electric blue, it's going to be 00AAFF, but we'll see. So it's just going to be almost like switching it around. So I think it's 00. Hold on. AAFF, I think. Yeah. Okay. So that's the electric blue. Once you know that your style and color script, your first line is accurate, then you can just do as I did. You copy and paste the same format into the next line. And now the next part of this is, okay, you have electric yellow, you have electric blue, which is the harder color to see, obviously electric yellow against a white background. Why not just do what would make sense, and that would be to have a darker background color. Okay, so for all of those of you who are familiar with Power BI, you know that when it comes down to some of the styling elements in Power BI, when you've made your tables or any type of diagram, you can add padding, and there's different PXs that you can increase or decrease the padding to, which is kind of good. It's going to raise it up a bit. So what I want to do is, again, we have electric yellow, electric blue. Let's give it a darker background. Let's just go with the standard black background, kind of like what you see with CodePen. But this time we're going to add the background to the first line. So you're going to hit enter, which automatically moves your first line down to your second line and your second line down to your third line, but it doesn't get rid of what you've already created in your sandbox. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go to line 1. And what we're going to do is what's called sort of divide out the template. So we're going to use those same angle brackets again. And we're going to go to div. Now, we're adding background. And what did we learn from what happened when we were implementing that color? We learned that if we close the angle bracket where the element is, it's just going to type out what we typed out, but it's not actually going to produce anything. So obviously we're not going to do this. We're not going to close the angle. We're not going to close the element right away. We're not going to close the tag right away. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to backspace. We're going to keep it open because we're building out the background color. So in this case, we're going to do, once again, it's going to be style, but this time it's going to be background color. So we can, if we wanted to, we could just copy and paste where it says style equal and make sure it's not too spaced out. All right. And so in quotation marks, we have background color. Okay. And then from there, we're going to have just a basic black. So I think it's just zeros. Let's try it out. Honestly, I don't remember. I really don't remember off the top of my head. But let's try it out. So it's going to be the same character length as our other style. Let's just go ahead and copy that style over here. And then let's cross out, or rather, let's delete the EAFF, go all the way back. And so that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that should do it. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. So that's 2026. And that's remodeling the mitochondria. Okay, so that worked for there, but if we want to actually, well, you know what? We need to add the padding. I forgot. We want to add the padding. Okay, so let's use the semicolon and let's just put the word padding. And let me think. Okay, so from padding, it's going to be, I know with Power BI it's 5px, but let's just go with 10 and see what happens with that. Yeah, let's go with 10px with 10 pixel and see what happens with that. I don't think that's going to be too large. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be too large. Remove these. Okay, now we should be able to close that out. Yeah, that's not, I mean, it doesn't even make a dent, really. Yeah, and then we're done with that. So I think we can just close it out here, if I'm correct. I believe we can just close it out right there. And kind of like we did P, because we're done with that. Backslash. Okay, perfect. All right, so what we did was we divided the template out, and we are simply putting in just a black background with 10 pixel padding behind the 1975 metabolically active line 2, and then the same background padding behind the 2026 line 3.